So we had read Sutras 51, 52, and 53 in the previous session. We had read these three sutras. Now the thing is to discuss them. Let's try to understand them. Let's try to discuss them. Sutra 51, 52, 53. So here Master is talking about the three divine aspects, the three aspects of God. So we've talked a lot about the absolute Supreme God, Supreme God manifesting at different levels. Now we are trying to understand the, the quality or the divinity. So here Master is reminding us of the three aspects. The first aspect, he says, absolute Supreme God is omnipotent, which manifests as God the will. And will, he says, is divided into purpose and power. Then second, he says, absolute Supreme God is omniprovident. So that is the love aspect. So the first one was the power or the will aspect. Second one was the love aspect. So like the first one in the Indian system, in the Hindu theology, we call it Lord Shiva. The second one we call Lord Vishnu. And the third one, absolute Supreme God, is omniscient. Omniscient means infinitely knowledgeable, infinitely wise, knows everything. So now here, Master says this manifests as God the Creator. And earlier we have talked about the creation and how it comes from God and so on. So this is the aspect or the quality or the aspect of Supreme God which has caused the creation, which in the Indian system we call Brahma. Brahma. Now Brahma different from Brahman. We have been also been using the term Brahman, Para Brahman, and otherwise Brahman. Now Brahma is different. This is the knowledge or the light aspect of the Supreme God. Now, when Master says the creator, what he means is active, creative intelligence. Because when we say omniscient, we are referring to wisdom, knowledge, intelligence. And then when we talk about as the creator, we are talking about not sterile knowledge or sterile intelligence, but creative, dynamic intelligence. Yeah. And these later Master will take us through that. These are common to all major religions, to all major spiritual schools. Yeah, these three aspects of God. The terminology may change, but like we saw in the Indian system, Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma. Similarly, in the other systems, and we will see later, sutras will take us through that. Now, the important thing to understand is we know that God is in everything, everything is in God. So, these three qualities, these three aspects are also permeating, interpenetrating, causing every particle, every element, everything, every entity, material or non-material, physical or spiritual, even us, even we are later, there is a sutra where Master will show us that we are also made up of these three aspects. Even we talk about the planetary logos and the solar logos and the different logos at the different levels. They are also the same three aspects are coming into everything. Now, everything doesn't mean material, it can be non-material, it can be perfectly spiritual. Everything. Matlab, anything you can think of, etc., has these three divine aspects. And when we say, later we will talk about it in a sutra, when we say we are made in the image, we meaning humans are made in the image of God, again, this is what it means. God is these three aspects. We also have these three aspects. We are able to have will, we are able to do things. So we have will, the will aspect, the power aspect is there. We have love aspect. Yeah, we express love to each other. We have the intelligence aspect. We are able to think, solve problems, and so on. Yeah. Okay. Let's quickly, look at these in more detail. And just one more point before we go into each of these aspects, that the avatars, you remember we talked about the avatars, and we said that they come here to sort of prevent humanity from destroying itself. They come here to remind us of the purpose and so on. Now the avatars, because they are highly evolved souls, they are like role models for us, as to how developed these three aspects can be. So they demonstrate, or they show us these three aspects at very high levels of development and in a balanced manner. Yeah. Master used to, almost every time I sat in Master's class, he would, for some reason or the other, always talk about Lord Dattatreya. Dattatreya, Dattatreya, who in the Indian system is like a great being with three heads. Now, obviously, physically three heads not possible. The point is that he represents the three aspects in a human being, fully developed and balanced. These two things are important. They have to be highly developed and they need to be in balance. All right, let's talk about the first one. God the will or God the power. So now Master says it has two parts. There is power and there is purpose. Now, purpose, he says, Master tells us, is very important because that is what gives direction to the power. That is what provides a focus to the power. Think of a steam engine. Master, I think, in one of the Golden Lotus Sutras, has a sutra for that, steam engine, the steam is limited in a space. So it generates so much power that it can drive an entire train. Yeah. But if you were to let the steam out in the open, then it will just, dissipate. It will just scatter and nothing will get done. Similarly, when there is purpose, then our energies get directed. They get focused. They get localized. Think of a magnifying glass. You take a piece of paper, take a white paper, put it out in the sun. Keep it out for days at end. Nothing will happen. And maybe it'll just turn a little yellow. But now you take a magnifying glass on the paper, you focus the sun's rays on the magnifying glass. Within seconds, you will see the paper starts to burn. Why? Because the sun rays, you see that power was there earlier, but it wasn't focused. When you focus it, it becomes extremely strong. So if there is no purpose, then the energy or the power gets scattered, diffused, nothing gets done. Now, what if there is purpose but no power? Now, if there is no power, obviously nothing will get done. It's like somebody wants to heal, but that person's aura, I want to heal someone else, but my aura itself has no energy. There's no healing power. You remember basic class, this was one of the slides, that two instances when the healer should not heal. Number one, the healer is himself or herself ill, sick, has some disease. Number two, when the healer is very depleted. So there is purpose. I want to heal, but there is no power. Nothing will get done. And related to this is an important teaching of Master, which actually I consider as very important because that is where, it sort of, how should I say, that is where I got this lesson that there is making a schedule is very important. Because when you make a schedule, you have to prioritize. And to prioritize, you see, there are endless things that want our attention, that want our time. Endless, infinite, I mean, practically infinite. But when you prioritize, and why are you prioritizing? Because you have to make a schedule. Now you have only 24 hours in a day. Out of that, let us say 7, 8 hours gone for sleep, etc., etc. So you have a limited number of hours in which you can do all the things that you want to do. So you have to start by saying no to many things. That saying no is where you start getting focused. This is what is important. So let me give everything that, so for example, my purpose in life is X. Now, everything that is not aligned with X, I have to say no to. Correct? That is how we avoid distractions. That is how we are able to get things done. Otherwise, you are constantly open to distractions. I'm sharing this because this was one of the great teachings that I got when I came across master's teachings. The importance of schedule. Okay, let's come to God the love. So God the love, of course, this whole sustenance of the universe, the sustaining energy of the universe, that is coming from the divine aspect of love, or the aspect of divine love. And for example, Master has revealed that the avatars, the Buddhas, the teachers, they come from the love aspect, or sometimes we will say from the heart of God. What does it mean, heart of God? The love aspect of God. So the planetary God will, the love aspect of the planetary God says, okay, now humanity needs you, go. And so one of them will take birth, be born, and will live amongst, all of us and give us teachings. And then, like any other human being, will finally leave the body and go. And in fact, Master has revealed in his books, there are many other uh, locations, there are many other methods through which this sustaining energy, love energy, is constantly being provided to the earth and, of course, to the human beings. So, for example, the great rivers, all the great rivers, they are supposed to have the physical river, which is the water flowing through it, and the energetic, the spiritual river. For example, the Ganges. So there is the physical Ganges, but there is also interpenetrating that is the spiritual Ganges. Mount Kailash. So according to Master Choa, Mount Kailash has special energy, and from somewhere divine energy is being sent down to earth through Mount Kailash, which sort of acts as a spiritual transformer and then passes it on around. You are familiar with the Vesak festival. What happens at the Vesak festival? Lord Buddha comes for a few minutes. All the great teachers and the great souls, they gather around. He comes and gives blessings. He conveys blessings from somewhere higher. These people who are around us but not in physical body, like the great the world teacher and so on, they receive that energy and they pass it on to us. We try to join in the ceremony, and we also become conduits, we also become channels. My point is that all these are examples of the love aspect, the divine love aspect. Okay, let's talk about God, the light aspect. So, if you recall the earlier sutras, the first few sutras where Master was talking about the existence of God is self-evident. He was talking about the intelligence in nature all around us. There were sutras on how everything works to mathematical precision. Yeah, there is tremendous complexity which cannot be produced randomly. For example, Master gave the example of the heart, the example of the eye, which he said is infinitely more complex than the most advanced camera. Right? He gave the example of a rose. With just 4 elements, God has produced a rose. Scientists, you give them trillions of dollars, you give them all the chemicals, they cannot create a rose synthetically. I mean, they can create the rose fragrance and so on, but they cannot create the rose flower. So, this is where we see and Master used to emphasize the creative intelligence. It's not sterile. It is not just, ki, knowledge for the sake of showing off or knowledge for the sake of knowledge. No, it is very creative. And this, the is a really, I mean, of course, all three aspects are very important to us, but this aspect is what allows us to survive. It allows us to live life meaningfully. Because you see, humans as compared to animals, we lack certain physical abilities. We are not the heaviest, we are not the strongest, we are not the fastest animal. But we have this intelligence, the creative intelligence aspect. We are able to solve problems. We are able to improve our life. We are able to think about what is the purpose of life? What is the right way for me to live my life? How does my life become more meaningful? So, my request to you is please think about these questions. Who are you? Why are you born? What is the purpose of life? How do you live a purposeful or a meaningful life? Yeah? Okay. I'm sorry I'm talking too much. But this is, to me, a very exciting part of the book. Okay, 54. God and the Holy Trinity can be understood as the invisible light passing through a prism, producing seven colors. Of the seven colors, three are primary colors, which, when combined, produce the invisible light. So think of, absolute supreme God being the invisible light, which it passes through a prism and it gets converted into seven different colors. Now, we are talking about the Holy Trinity. So God being three aspects. But those three aspects then combine and they combine in different ratios and they give us the seven rays. Just like, so think of white light as Parabrahman. Now, the three basic colors, for example, red, green, and blue, RGB. All your screens, I'm sure you are seeing, you have some screen in front of you. That screen, my computer screen, a laptop screen, a tablet, iPad screen, phone screen, all electronic screens. You may see millions of colors, but they are produced by three basic colors. Now, in the earlier days, the technology was RGB, red, green, blue. Those three colors were mixed in different permutations and combinations to give you the different colors. These days, I think they mostly use CMY, which I think is synth. You can look it up. CMY. I think M is magenta, Y is yellow, C is I think Cyan, CYAN. I don't know how to pronounce that. So anyway, my point is white light becomes the three primary colors. White light is made up of these three. You mix these three, you get again white light. You pass the white light through a prism, you get the seven colors of the rainbow. Violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. Vibgyor, like we say. Similarly, from the Supreme God, as it comes down, these three basic aspects, they combine in seven different ways, and that is what is called the seven rays. Let me try to show you through a slide. Just give me a moment and I will turn it on. So one way in which the seven rays are understood is the three aspects you can say as ABC, light, love, and power. Now, so there are people in one ray, let us say, the first ray, A, love aspect or light, love, and power. Light aspect is super, super strong. The other two aspects are not so strong. In the second ray, the second aspect is very strong. The first and third are not so strong. Third one, the third aspect is very strong. The other first and second are not so strong. In the fourth, fifth, and sixth, two of them are strong. The third one is weak. And they are equally strong, almost equally strong. And in the last one, the seventh one, they are all equal. And this is what then becomes the seven rays. It doesn't match exactly. Now, for example, the fourth ray is the last one of this, where all three are equally balanced. Now, what is the relevance? You see, it is something like this. In some people, each of us is unique. Each of us has some differences. This is how it comes about. Each of us has different combinations of the three aspects. In some people, light aspect is very strong. So these are people who will now prefer Gyan Yoga. They will prefer the pillar of study. Then there are some people in whom the love aspect is very strong. So they will prefer to go into service, into Bhakti Yoga. You are aware, right? Many different paths. So Gyan Yoga, the people with strong divine light, people with strong love aspect, Bhakti Yoga, and people with strong will, they will, or strong power aspect, they usually prefer Raj Yoga. Yeah. And overall, you will see in the spiritual area, the numbers 3 and the number 7 have, you see a lot of significance to them. Each ray is headed by a great master who oversees the divine plan for that particular ray. Now that great master is actually taking down energy from the planetary logos and passing it down to the humanity. Now within each ray also infinite variations are possible. That is why we are all different. Like for example, one of you say Astha may have very strong love aspect, and then the other two aspects are not so strong. I'm just giving an example. It doesn't mean that it is so. But what it may mean is that it may be, let's put numbers to it. Let us say in her case, the love aspect is 80 and the light aspect is 20 and the will aspect is 20. But in someone else, again, the same ray, the ray of love, but it may be 230, 20. Are you seeing? So infinite variations are possible, and that is what explains why each of us is different. We are unique. And Master has this wonderful course, the Spiritual Business Management course. So if you haven't done that course, I would suggest think about doing that course, because this is explained very, very in a lot of detail. And also, more than just an academic discussion, Master explains how to apply it to our life. The course is Spiritual Business Management, but forget business, spiritual management. Each of us is trying to manage our lives, our affairs, our family, our this, that, everything. So this understanding the different rays really, really helps in managing our life. And of course, in business management. So my suggestion is, whenever you can, please do the spiritual business management course. There's of course a lot more is taught, not just the seven rays, but that itself is very useful. It's 6:30. I think we can end here.